Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Vivek Ramaswamy, and I want to ask the question, will Vivek Ramaswamy be the vice president for President Donald Trump? Okay? I want to ask that question. I want to explore that question fully. All right, here we go. All right, here's the answer. No, absolutely not. In no possible world will Vivek Ramaswamy be President Donald Trump's vice president. And what is the proof of this? In my humble opinion, the rock solid proof of this was presented in the second U.S. 2024 presidential debate, okay, which happened on September 27th, 2023. That's a big night. There's really a lot happening. Let me stay. There's so much to talk about with the second 2024 U.S. presidential debate. I want to stay hyper focused here and get right down to the point. Okay, all right. I think if you watched the second 2024 U.S. presidential debate, it's crystal clear who President Trump's vice president is going to be. So let's walk it through. Okay. So first of all, I'll tell you right now, it is not going to be any of the ward cleavers. It's not going to be any of the ward cleavers that are currently sitting on top of, that are sitting on the stage, right? So who are the ward cleavers? DeSantis, Pence, Christie, and Burgum. Boy, Burgum is a waste of space. Boy, I don't know why that guy's still up there. Anyway, yeah. So it's not going to be any of them, and the reason why is, they Pence is obvious. I don't need to explain that one, right? But Christie, no possible way. Burgum, why? Trump would gain nothing, right? And then also, actually, you know what? Let's back it up. So there are two others. There's Pence and DeSantis. DeSantis isn't going to accept. He wants to make his own run, right? Actually, Burgum could be picked. All right, let's talk about that. So it's possible President Donald Trump will pick another ward cleaver, okay? Now, why would he do this? And I just said it. I was like, if he picks Doug Burgum, he gets nothing. President Donald Trump may decide that he doesn't need anything. He is so most people think that he will win the primaries. I don't think this is the case. In my humble opinion, I think his New York City habits that he's been doing for 80 years and his love of fast food and the incredible pressure that is currently on him are going to coalesce into a Dianne Feinstein situation, passing while serving, right? And then also, and I, of course, with President Trump, it wouldn't be passing while serving; it would be passing while running, right? And then also the Ginsburg issue, passing while serving, right? Which would convert for President Donald Trump to passing while running. I think he will pass while he runs. I don't think. I think he will either, and I think there's a possibility. Now, okay, I'm very different than most Trump critics. I'm definitely a Trump critic. Right? I'm a never Trumper. I will never vote for him. Okay, so let's put that there. But I think he's wicked smart. I think he's a genius, right? And I think not only is he, I think he's unparalleled charismatic, unparalleled confident, unparalleled intelligent, and I think he has changed American politics for 200 years, right? So my issue with him is that he's morally bereft, right? And electing him again cements villainy as a viable American leadership platform. That's why I'm against Donald Trump. Okay, all right. So let's keep moving here. All right, let's just target right down to it. Okay. So he might take a ward cleaver, right? Now, a ward cleaver candidate, which will get him nothing. If he chooses any ward cleaver candidate, or any, who's up on that stage or not up on that stage, if he chooses a man who is ward, those two precious attributes that Americans insist on for presidents, for every single president except President Barack Obama, then he gets nothing, right? Now, it's possible Trump will do that because he doesn't need anything right now. If he remains alive, he wins. With a dice roll, I do think there's a 5% chance that Vivek can beat him if he's alive and still running, right? I do think there's a 90, and I think Vivek can shoot that gap, right? I really do. I think there's a lot of ways to do it if he makes specific choices. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, option one. President Trump. Yeah. Let's get all the way there. Option one. President Trump says, "I don't need anything. I can do it on my own," and chooses a ward cleaver candidate who gives him nothing. Right. Or he said, and this is the thing that is hyper dangerous about Donald Trump. He delivers win, period, right? And I'm not contesting that. Things are amazing under him. There's no two way. You can't contest that, right? Like, I could buy eggs, I could buy cars, I could buy houses, period. And so could my kids, right? Like, that's a reality, right? Like that, the problem was he was like, hey, why don't we let villains run America? We never asked that question before, right? Like, I don't think there was ever a point where we were like, what if just a straight up Disney villain was president, right? Like, we never asked that before Trump. We're asking that now, right? Like, you're like, Hades, I like his blue hair, like like this is where we're at, right? So, all right. President Donald Trump is self-aware. I think a lot of people think he's not. He is. He's very self-aware. And the reason why is he refuses to not address any obstacle to win, right? And self-awareness, being unself-aware, is an obstacle to win. So when he reflects, what is he missing? He's missing any moral grounding. He is morally bereft and can't even pretend to be a moral human being, right? Not even pretend. Now, what he can do to fix that, because and this gets even more complex. I actually don't think President Donald Trump is prejudiced, and it's not a core value. What he is he's so willing to win that he carefully nurtured an outrageously prejudiced base, right? Who are very prejudiced toward anyone whose skin color is different than theirs, right? And that skin color is ward. It's the ward cleaver skin color, right? So, yeah. So, his base is outrageously prejudiced, right? So, I thought for a long time that would mean he would not choose a person of color as a VP. I was wrong, and I realized that while watching the second U.S. presidential debate. All right, here we go. Okay. Here's why Vivek, it's an impossibility. There's no possibility Vivek will be chosen. And the reason why is there's a much better option for Trump, okay? First of all, Trump, the reason he chose Pence, it was a brilliant choice. And again, this is why, like, if you think President Donald Trump is dumb, you are dumb, period. If you've ever said that, if you're like, oh, President Donald Trump is an idiot, you're an idiot. Like, that's a fact, in my humble opinion, right? He is outrageously smart, okay? Vice President Mike Pence was the perfect pick, right? Because Mike Pence terrified Donald Trump, terrified Democrats even more than Trump. Democrats were like, oh my gosh, look at this super evil Republican juggernaut. And they're like, the only thing that would be worse is a genuine, actual evangelical Christian who loves Jesus and is going to take America back on a path of faith. That is even more scary than President Donald Trump posing as a Christian and trust and believe he's no Christian. I can tell you why I know President Donald Trump isn't a Christian. They asked him, are you a Christian? He says, of course I'm a Christian. I go to church. No Christian would ever say that. Church doesn't save anyone, right? I think there might be another faith. They got a guy who wears a funny hat that would say that, but no Christian would actually say that, ever, right? So he's not a Christian, right? But Pence is. So Pence was scarier to the Democrats than Donald Trump. And Donald Trump figured out a way to make sure that the Democrats made sure he that his VP never took place, right? Took the position of presidency, right? So it was brilliant, right? So here's the issue. President Donald Trump, he does have he cannot abide anyone who questions him, right? And anyone who would be an actual threat to him from capability or competence or courage, right? And Vivek Ramaswamy is a threat to Donald Trump on every single one of those, right? He has a threat to President Donald Trump from the perspective of capability and courage, right? He would stand up to him, and he wouldn't just get bounced around by Trump, right? And there's no way Trump is going to deal with that for 4 years, especially when there's somebody sitting in the wings who's perfect. Is it Nikki Haley? No, it is not. Nikki Haley has a real run. She has a possibility to be the first American woman president put there by the Republicans, right? The Democrats already beat the Republicans to the first person of color, the first African American president, right? That's by merit, right? But the Republicans have a chance to pass the Democrats by merit. This is very important, right? And I think Nikki Haley understands it. She's growing in the polls. She's got that Klobuchar momentum and energy, but better, right? And so Nikki Haley has a real shot. And so I think she won't take it because she doesn't need it, right? Like she is a genuine, clear option to do something real for the Republicans. And I don't think she's going to squander that on being Trump's VP, right? All right. Who's the perfect candidate? It's Tim Scott, okay? I really love Tim Scott. I've grown to love him in the two U.S. presidential debates. He is confident and intelligent. He is not charismatic, and there is a reason why. He has a slowness, all right? Not stupid, just he takes his time to think. He has a cadence that is slow in his speech, right? And this don't play today. You got to be, right? And the other thing is, and so that he doesn't count as charismatic. He really doesn't. He can't rally anyone, right? That's important, right? He's a beautiful human being with a wonderful heart and actual morals, right? In addition to that, he's a dedicated statesman, a real statesman, right? And 20, 30, 40 years ago, all that would have counted. Now it counts for nothing, right? And so you have to win on presence, right? Vivek is a great moral person. Doesn't count. Does not get a vote, right? He's he looks alive. That's like 50 points. Like, not 50 points. It's like 15 points, right? Because literally most of these candidates look like they're about to get shoved in a coffin. And that's a problem, right? And it's not me saying that. We've known that since JFK, Nixon. That's real. And it's 10 times stronger today than it ever was, right? And Vivek is a billionaire. He's proven merit. And that's important to Republicans. Can you earn, right? But Tim Scott, right? He is it's a sad state that he has no possibility of winning on his own. But he is the perfect pick for President Donald Trump. He would actually help Donald Trump because I think he would sit down with him. The two of them would talk, and maybe, and maybe there's a possibility that Tim Scott be like, I talked with the president, and we talked about, hey, what if you removed your fangs and your claws, right? Like, it'd be longer than that, right? But, like, Tim Scott is such a good person, he could actually help Donald Trump bring, on a journey back to being an actual human being, right? And I think Trump might be open to that, right? And but the other thing is, because he can't rally anyone, but he's super smart and super confident, and he is shaped like an actual politician who can win. He can't win on his own, not in any possibility, because he can't rally anyone, right? But he looks like a real politician, and it would massively strengthen Donald Trump's actual his position, right? Now, okay, you're like, wait a second, Scott, didn't you say that Donald Trump's base is outrageously prejudiced? Yes, and they will hate this. They will hate this, and they won't scream. They won't say a word because they know what they believe is so repugnant. They can't discuss it anywhere but Rumble, right? But the reality is they're going to be furious, but they have nowhere to go. Nowhere. This is a lock. Tim Scott, 100% is the best choice for President Donald Trump. And I'll tell you right now, President Donald Trump picks Tim Scott, we, Vivek Ramaswamy fans, supporters, backers, advocates, we got a real problem. Real problem, right? So actually, I do think that Vivek Ramaswamy should do everything he can to stop that from happening. And there's a few things I think he could do, right? So let me summarize, okay? Trump could pick a word cleaver, and he's like, I don't need I don't need anything from this pick to win, right? It's possible, okay? There's no possibility he will pick Vivek because he knows every single day of his presidency, Vivek will be a massive threat, right? He'll be able to do things. He'll be able to run all over the world, be able to jump over microphone wires, like everything Trump can't do, right? And there's no way Trump's going to allow that for 4 years. He can't. Trump cannot allow anyone with capability and courage, right? And actually, that's why Mike Pence was removed, because he showed courage for one single day, not even capability. He never showed capability, right? But he showed courage for one day, and Trump, right? Yeah. So, and from some stories, almost literally, in my humble opinion, right? Like, yeah, wow. Woo, we live in some dark times, man. So, okay, Nikki Haley, she got a real shot. I don't think she's going to take it, and I really don't think she would take it. She's off the board because she has a real momentum of her own. Tim Scott, perfect pick for Trump and a huge threat to Vivek Ramaswamy's run, right? I honestly think if Donald Trump chooses, and I think he will, Tim Scott, Vivek Ramaswamy's chances go from 5% to 1%. So I think Vivek should should add that to the task list and say, stop Trump from choosing Tim Scott as VP. And I think there's some things he could do to do that. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.